On the streets of Taiwan, people continue to live their lives as usual, despite the occasional yellow alarm. The presence of military vehicles further accentuated the contrast between the calmness of the people and the urgency and haste of the army. At the Hsinchu Air Base, fighter jets were taking off because off the coast of Taiwan, the Chinese military was conducting a large-scale exercise surrounding the island. China's naval, air and missile forces were flexing their muscles in the Taiwan Strait and the north, south and east of the island. Ships and aircraft approached Taiwan from multiple directions, while the military services conducted joint raids. The focus was on items such as combat readiness patrols at sea and in the air, blockade and control of important ports and areas, sea and land attacks, and gaining complete control. All of this showed that Beijing was determined and ready to unify Taiwan, as President Xi Jinping has emphasized. China's unification with Taiwan is inevitable. It is also a move to avoid Taipei and Washington from crossing Beijing's red line. Following the recent statement by Taiwanese leader Lai Ching-te declaring his opposition to any annexation or invasion and claiming that Beijing has no right to represent the island's 23 million people, facing China's superiority in area, population, and military size, everyone says that Taiwan is throwing eggs at rocks, like a buffalo kicking a cart. However, the island still defiantly challenges the giant for one reason. If China really wants to play, Taiwan will play to the end. And they already have a plan to hit the enemy's weak spot. But before talking about this plan, let's quickly review history. On October 1st, 1949, Mao Zedong declared the founding of the People's Republic of China in Tiananmen Square. 22 years of civil war, interrupted by war with Japan, ended in victory for the Chinese Communist Party. Chiang Kai-shek's Kuomintang fled to Taiwan. Since then, neither side has relinquished its claim to the entire mainland and Taiwan. Each side claims to be the sole legitimate representative of China. However, as China has risen to become the world's second largest power, Beijing has become increasingly assertive in its push to unify Taiwan with the mainland. The mainland government has declared that it will not compromise on the Taiwan issue, determined to unify the country before 2049, the 100th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. However, Taiwan is not an ordinary geopolitical issue. The island is located in an area where the influence and interests of both global powers, the United States and China, are directly threatened. For China, the country is trying to assert itself as a leading power. It is unacceptable and a national humiliation to have a part of its territory not under its control. Most importantly, Taiwan's semiconductor industry can help China become a leading power instead of the United States. For the United States, there are three main interests in protecting Taiwan. The first is to prevent Taiwan from becoming a communist regime. The second is the global balance of power. China's annexation of Taiwan could change the balance of power in the Western Pacific, breaking the first island chain and ending the US's dominance in the Indian Ocean and the Pacific. And finally, there is the economic factor. Taiwan plays a core role in the world semiconductor map. If China controls Taiwan, the future of US dominance cannot continue to exist. Taiwan knows that it has the US to protect it. But the island cannot rely on the US alone. Normally, a country that wants to deter an enemy would rely on nuclear weapons. However, due to Taiwan's unclear diplomatic status, the purchase or development of such toys would be seen as a move towards separatism, and would be interpreted by Beijing as an act of war. This option was ruled out. So Taiwan drew up one of the world's most brutal war plans in the 21st century. This beautiful image is the Three Gorges Dam in Hubei, China? It blocks the mighty Yangtze River, is more than 100 meters high and 2 kilometers long, creating a reservoir with an area of 1,000 km2, with a volume of nearly 40 cubic kilometers. It is certainly the world's largest hydroelectric project. It provides electricity to 20 million people, contributing to drought and flood management in the Yangtze River basin. However, because it is a strategic infrastructure, the Three Gorges Dam has become an ideal target for Taiwan. Let's say this. Just say it. Attacking the Three Gorges Dam would meet Taiwan's deterrence goals without the need for a quick buck. First, if the Three Gorges Dam were to break, it would release 600 kilometers of the Yangtze River's downstream reservoir. The water would quickly overflow the downstream flood reservoirs and cause immeasurable damage to densely populated areas, including Wuhan, Nanjing, Shanghai, not only directly affecting tens of millions of people. Such an attack would wipe out public facilities, commercial centers in the lower reaches of the Yangtze River, and 2/3 of China's rice production. This would affect 400 million mainland residents. It's really crazy. Furthermore, destroying the Three Gorges Dam could help Taiwan wipe out 9 out of 10 PLA rogue divisions, mainly stationed in Hubei. Obviously, Taiwan would only do so if there were no other choice, because Beijing would most likely respond with one of its 400 nuclear warheads. One push of a button would be enough to wipe Taiwan off the map. Therefore, the real value of the Three Gorges Dam plan is not for Taiwan to make it a reality, but to tell Beijing, we hold your weak point. Don't touch us? That is to say, the main purpose of this plan is deterrence. However, how can Taipei convince Beijing that they can actually carry out such a plan? The first difficulty Taipei faces is the geographical distance. The Three Gorges Dam is located 1.200 kilometers from Taiwan. With that distance, most conventional systems will have difficulty. Using a carpet-bombing aircraft is not a good idea, because there is a high possibility that they will be taken down before they reach the destination. The remaining possible option is to use cruise missiles. In this option, Taiwan is making significant progress, in the face of the fact that China is increasingly increasing the frequency of military exercises around the island. Over the past 5 years, Taiwan has increased its military spending by $8.6 billion. In February 2022, a report to the National Assembly revealed Taipei's intention to double its annual missile production to 497 units. Currently, Taiwan has a number of sophisticated toys, including the Chongfang-E missile. This is a surface-to-surface missile that Taiwan has built itself, and the first phase of production has been completed. It started in 2008 with a minimum of 240 missiles. Phase 2 was launched in 2019. According to some sources, the number of units produced could be up to 100. And a budget of $440 million has been approved for this plan. What's special is that the new generation is capable of attacking targets as far away as 1.200 kilometers. And why 1.200 kilometers? That's just enough to put the Three Gorges Dam within reach of this toy. Right? In addition, there is information that Taiwan is developing a hypersonic cruise missile with an expected range of up to 2.000 kilometers. It is even more dangerous than the Hongfeng-E. It seems that Taipei has the means to carry out the plan. But the question is, how much firepower will they need to launch a knockout blow? Some analysts say that Taiwan only needs a moderate number, while others say that thousands of missiles will be needed to ensure enough defense and take into account the missiles that go off target or are shot down by Chinese air defense. In addition, there are those who assert that without dropping mushrooms, any effort is like throwing a toothpick at the whole mountain. Actually, they are right. If they only cause a small crack, the damage will only be equivalent to each time a dam is released. But it is difficult to move the ground to create catastrophic consequences enough to be angry. Furthermore, note that the segmental design of this slow-motion dam ensures that if only one section is damaged, the overall structure will not be compromised. In this case, the researchers say, Taiwan may need to develop monster missiles capable of destroying such embankments to be fully equipped. China's air defense system must also be considered. In addition to conventional missile shields, China has deployed numerous surface-to-air and surface-to-air missiles around the dam. They form a heavily guarded no-fly zone around the dam and its peripheral structures. However, Taiwan still has hope of defeating these defense systems with supersonic missiles, including the Zhongfeng. But what if China wants to sabotage Taiwan's plans from the waterfront by draining the dam first? Most experts believe that doing so would be a case of Beijing using its own weapon to defeat its own enemy. The last time a water-retaining structure was deliberately breached was in 1938. During the Sino-Japanese War, the Kuomintang government destroyed the Huaiyuan Pass to stop the rapid advance of Japanese forces. The strategic value of the Huaiyuan Pass demolition remains questionable. But what is certain is that it was the largest act of environmental warfare in history. It cost China 500,000 lives, 3 million refugees and 5 million people affected when floods covered Hunan, Anhui and Jiangsu. At the same time, the mouth of the Yellow River was moved hundreds of kilometers south. That event also caused the Kuomintang to lose the support of the people to the Communist Party. It partly led to the defeat of the Shisai faction when the Civil War ended. That historical lesson is certainly not repeated by the Chinese Communist Party today. If Taiwan itself attacks the Three Gorges Dam, it will also suffer consequences that it may not have foreseen. Because targeting a civilian infrastructure would be considered a war crime. Just look at the way Ukraine accused Russia of the collapse of the Novokrakhovska Dam last year. For all these reasons, the Three Gorges Dam plan is truly a deterrent. Because once it becomes a reality, both Taiwan and China will have to bear the dire consequences that neither side is willing to pay. It is similar to nuclear deterrence strategies, except that this version does not sow the seeds. The paradox is that this plan is only useful when it is not put into practice.